the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for being here tonight. It's Monday, September 8th. Already September. Have the secretary call the roll.
Nat Campbell.
Here.
Sue Wilson.
Here.
Aaron Williams. Here.
Tim Mills.
Here.
Eric Christensen.
Here.
Ben Metzger.
Here.
Mike Rakin.
Here. All right, we have a quorum this evening. All members are present. Next item on the agenda is good news and board member reports. Mrs. Paul, do you have anything for us this evening?
All of our fall activities are well underway and doing very well. So keep an eye out on Bound is our new platform for the calendar. So it used to be Our School, it's now Bound. So if you log into that, you'll see that differently. So all of our activities are on there. So make sure you check out some of those. A lot of things going on right now.
Perfect. Any board member reports this evening?
I was able to attend the opening day for Alla District with Speaker Kim Strobel. But anyways, I thought the staff enjoyed it. Lots of laughter, lots of activities. Some of the staff came up on stage and danced. So she was very engaging. So it was good to see them, and then we had some chance to have some coffee with them afterwards, and so it was fun. A lot of them, I think, were ready to get going and get started, and so it was a great kickoff. So well done on who lined that speaker up. I think she did a really nice job.
Anyone else? Okay. Communications and public comment. Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that any board member would like to pull for consideration?
The only question that I had was on the Bloom in Minnesota for $57,000. I didn't know what that would be. It's on the financial.
On the bills.
attachment. Yeah, the bills.
Tim, who was it for?
Bloom of Minnesota LLC, it's under the local option sales tax. It would be a high school
I bet it's one of the contracts.
contracts. Okay.
With that, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion made by Tim.
I'll
Tim.
second.
Seconded by Sue. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is the curriculum committee meeting report from August 14th.
Tim, I think that's the line, the robot line.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mike, you want me to wrap it up? Curriculum meeting, we talked about personal learning pathways for our staff. And it basically is to reinforce teacher efficacy through different opportunities and learning, collaboration. And so there's a whole structure to help the teachers look forward to something, so they can get maybe some gift cards, they can get a t-shirt that talks about like you be the person that can show happiness, you be the person that is successful, you be the person that is positive in your classroom. So right now Irving is fully engaged with it, but with the goal that it'll go to different schools. Second one, we really talked about what AI is in our schools, what are the guidelines, and what does it look to be AI ready as a graduate. So what are some of the things we need to watch and really educate the kids on, and what are some of the things that they can use AI on to really help their imagination and stuff like that. So I know Superintendent Paul has attended a lot of different conversations on what does AI look like in the classroom. And I know that the kids have certain things because my daughter wrote a paper and was like, yes, I did it. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, it's 18%. I was like, 18% what? She's like, it's only 18% like AI. And I was like, what are you even talking about? And it highlights the part that are the same. And in it, what was the same was a quote she had used and some of the works cited notes. So obviously quotes and works cited, I mean, those are a lot of popular things in other papers. So, but just continued education on that perspective. And then we looked at math and how this is a strong core goal of ours. We looked at, making sure that we've got the intervention set up for kids that need it. And we can find that through the FastBridge platform, like that assessment that they do. And so I think every year we have to send in kind of our plan or our data, and the Department of Education has to review it. And I think, has it been reviewed for this year?
From this particular platform, they've passed legislation that we need to meet, and what we have in place will be meeting that. And so we're just continuing to refine what we're doing. But they do pull all of that data across the state and do comparisons within our region, and then widespread too, to see if our students are making the growth that they need to. The 3 times per year we're required to screen them.
And that's kindergarten through 6th.
For math now, yeah. And we had been doing that, but we're going to be, making sure that we're doing progress monitoring at least every 2 weeks with their data and putting that into the system now too. Prior to this, we were doing reading. So.
Any questions for curriculum? Next item is our annual SIAC appointment for the committee. In your package, you'll see the list of individuals, both internal to the district and external from the community. Need a motion to approve the SIAC committee members as presented.
I'll make a motion that we approve the SIAC committee members presented.
Motion made by Sue,
Second.
seconded by Eric. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is our concurrent courses. Each year, the board approves courses being listed that are offered at the high school students but paid for under the district agreement. With DMAC, you will see the list on the TVs there. Is there any discussion or questions?
What is the significance of the shaded rows?
That was coming from the high school registrar. I think that was for her to kind of show the grouping. For example, the top ones are mostly the English language arts. Then you get into the maths, then science. So I think it's just more visual.
Okay.
Yeah.
How often, do we survey our students at all as to what is really interesting them? Like I see a few of the automotive classes, a few of the medical classes, some of the public health stuff. How do we choose these? Based on, if we want to bring in a new course, how do you go about seeing if that would be effective?
The understanding is that through their 4-year course plans, when they're working with the students on which pathway and what their interests are, that's where they're gathering that data. Our system that we use, which is one that is approved by the state, is called Zello. And within that is where you get all those personal interest inventories. So that data should be driving those reports for the counselors as to what those needs are. I would say the other part to that is when they're doing that 8th grade plan with parents and their students to say, okay, as you're going through high school, those post-secondary opportunities, all of those are supposed to be discussed with the parents at that time and be able to work that in there. So that's where that data would come from. I'm not aware of a separate survey where they would ask the students, out of everything that might be at DMAC, what would you want?
So our counselors would receive a comprehensive app through Zello that shows hey, we have 115 kids interested in Rombad technology or windmill technology or something like that.
Right, and some of those, they're questioning a little bit in terms of some of the top things that get listed are like race car driver. Or I mean, you know, things like that.
Right.
So trying to make it so what is it applicable to what might be
Correct.
offered here.
Okay.
But currently, the K-12 counseling team is in the process of selecting new counseling materials. And so they're going to be going through all of what's called their ASCA national standards. And a lot of that has to do with getting to know yourself, your careers, personal skills and strengths. So we want to take a look at where in the curriculum are we, making sure we're addressing that for every student. And that's one of the goals is where can we pull more data as from another source also.
So is that a little bit of what Lacey will look at a little bit now with that new position we created?
Yes, absolutely. And so Lacey Chernus was one of our counselors who's now in a teacher leadership role as our counseling and career lead. And so she has already started signing up to go to the work-based learning trainings. At our curriculum meeting this Thursday, I'll talk to you about a few other things that she's doing right now. I think the other piece to that is, as we said, financially for the district, have that balance. You've been very fiscally responsible and trying to make those types of decisions. In the future, what would you want to be funding? Because there's always a lot out there that you could purchase for students or make available, but then you're paying for that. So where is your balance with that? So.
And these courses are meant to be survey-type courses. So they're offered through DMAC and they get college credit, but it's not necessarily a path to get your degree in.
Right.
It is an opportunity for kids to explore and say, ooh, I really like that. I think I like the medical field. Let me take some classes in that, get credit, both college and high school, and then be like, ooh, that's not what I
Yeah,
wanted.
okay.
Let's try something else. So these aren't meant to be, hey, we're really interested in auto mechanic. I want a full slate of courses in auto mechanic. No, let's give you some of those and see if that's really something that you want to invest in the future.
Got it. Thank you.
When, Annette, when we say that the district funds these, it's by student interested in participating in that class, correct?
I think Brian can talk a little bit more about the weighting with DMAC and how that functions with the bill that gets paid
Yes.
for however many has been taking the courses.
Yeah, I just was playing off of Sue's question, but thinking of it differently. Like when we say the district pays for this, we're paying for Jimmy or Julie to be able to go and take that course at DMAC. So, you know, if one person's interested in zoo science and it qualifies, then it really, I mean, it's not like we're wasting money because one person's excited about that. We're funding it based on interest by the students in a set of courses that we have agreed that we will pay.
And also for these concurrent ones, you'll notice some of them have DMAC at the end of the title. Those are the ones that are on site here in our district. And you'll see for our teachers that are here in our building teaching it. If it leads with DMAC at the front end, those are at the DMAC site. And that's where students would travel for the most part to go there.
And that's where you're getting into the weighting criteria of what the cost is, vice whether it's here or whether it's actually at the college location.
The weighting, it would be the same for all.
It's the same, okay.
So when we talk about budget, and we talk about supplemental weighting, that's what we're talking about. So we get per pupil and then a little bit more for these types of courses. It doesn't offset 100%, so there's some general fund as well as a supplemental weighting that gets applied to these courses.
All in all, hopefully through the curriculum selection piece, the Zello reports that they're getting, Lacey's involvement in helping to support the high school teachers, they'll get a lot more information to keep, I guess, driving forward what might be the next thing, or does something else need replaced as to what's offered.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Do we do
The-
it? Oh, I'm sorry.
The NASCAR interested person should take statistics.
Yeah. Do we do any follow-up with graduates to see how these classes impact their college?
I don't think they've done one specifically for concurrent classes. I know they do a survey with past graduates before. Some of that information we had studied at our SIAC committee a couple of years ago, where it was coming through where they wanted a little bit more of a focus on study skills within their courses. And so the counselors had been taking a look at where can they put that into, at that point, it was the high school advisory time. So,
And I just thought, my granddaughter just shared that her advisor and counselor in college told her that she'll be finished with her degree at the end of her junior year because of those classes that transferred in. That's impactful.
I think sometimes too at the college level, they still require you to have so many credits earned there. So even though they might finish their degree in 2 or 3 years, the college may require them to continue on with other liberal, or I don't want to use the word, liberal arts. Get danger on the words sometimes these days, but more liberal arts, they have to continue to take those hours there too. So they may or may not be able to graduate in a few years while they're there, but yeah.
I just have a curious question. Toward the end of the list, there's a class, something about transition, college 1 and 2. Is that attended pretty heavily or not much? I was just curious. It's maybe up a little bit.
Transition to college, is that?
Yeah.
That one.
614. Yeah, yep. Just curious if we have a lot of students that kind of chase after that because of the colleges.
I don't know past numbers, but currently there are 3 enrolled in that.
Oh, is that on? I didn't look.
No, it's not on that one. It was, I got the numbers late from
Okay.
the report. So I thought if you did ask, I wanted to have them here.
Well, thank you. I was just curious.
Yeah.
I would think that'd be better. But
Can you add that into Assembly? I'd like to look and see what the numbers look like. Any other questions?
Motion to approve the list of concurrent courses as presented.
Motion made by Tim,
Okay.
seconded by Ryan. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is the HR Committee report from August 21st.
It was a short meeting. We currently, according to our board policy, we do require physicals for all staff. That's not always the case, kind of across the board with surrounding districts. And so it's out to our directors right now to discuss. Any update? Nope, just still, okay. So that was just kind of a heads up. And then we just learned about the new onboarding process for staff. We got a lot of really good feedback this year from our new staff that were, there's the hiring as of the 21st. Did you want to give us an update?
Based on the personnel recommendations, I think, would be added to those.
Okay. But really, if you scroll down, right, it just shows our new onboarding process for staff and kind of everything they go through, all the people they meet with, all the different trainings they do. It is very full days for the new staff, but the feedback that I received from several of them that they did feel really welcomed and prepared and gave them time to be able to talk with people and a little bit of time to be able to ask questions if they need questions or, and so it's all right there. Shelley gave a really, really lengthy description of it, so if you have a minute, you can read it, but it was
Very thorough.
yeah, and so a lot of really, really good feedback this year from our new staff and trying to get their feet on the ground.
Questions for HR? Okay, moving along. IT. board meeting from, I believe, the 26th of August. Yes, the 26th.
Yep, so when,
It was long, that was a long meeting.
I try not to.
I mean, when things are this exciting, it's hard to. It's good stuff. So the switch it over to the new phone system, a lot of time was invested in that, and sounds like that cutover has gone smoothly there. Provides some good benefits and kind of gets us on the more updated technology. Installed a new firewall, installed new antivirus or endpoint detection with the fiber ring that kind of gives us a better backup in case somebody would accidentally cut a line. The municipal utilities has their part of it done, and so it's just waiting on our staff to kind of get their portion done, so that will be fully operational. And then beginning of the school year is always a busy time for technical support tickets, and I think the number of outstanding tickets was at 269 or something. What's the latest, Ray? Got a new number?
I haven't looked at that lately. I know last week it was 200.
We're staying busy.
We're cutting down, but then they keep coming in, so.
Mandatory 20-hour work days or something like that. Not quite. A lot of great things happening there and really positioning things for the future.
Thank you. Eric, any questions for IT? Okay, on to the exciting part of the evening. The financials are attached. You guys will notice the format is a little bit different than what we have used in the past. Brian, was there anything that you wanted to share or go over with the board?
Just that it's early in the year, and so as the year goes along, we'll have a better gauge of kind of where we're at and where we ended last year. Next month, the budget figures should be in there to help kind of gauge what percent we spent thus far during the year. Next month will be 25% through the year, but it's a little different with schools because with teachers getting paid starting in September, it throws that percent off a little bit. You just kind of have to calculate that in there when you're looking at the percent spent.
So when you have parentheses around it, Brian, does that means that we had a decrease in what our
That just shows revenues are less than expenditures, which will change greatly as the year goes along.
Yep.
As we start receiving property tax dollars and state aid.
Any questions on the financials? Okay, next item is the Finance Committee meeting from the 19th of August. I can run with this one. We met with Ron from Transportation, as well as Jeff from Farm Service to discuss the possibilities of an on-site fuel station located at the bus barn. With the city and the county closing down the fuel tanks on North 6th Street that we've previously been using, we were trying to figure out financially what made the most sense for the district, whether it made sense to have a fuel agreement with a provider in town where we take all of our vehicles and whatnot in to fill up, or whether it makes more sense for us to have on-site fuel available. And just based on the amount of time that it would take for all of our bus drivers and our facilities staff to drive out to get fuel, we felt as a committee that it made the most sense, and as administrative staff, that it made the most sense to have fuel on site. We got to learn a little bit more from Jeff about the fuel tank itself. It's a 16,000 gallon tank, dual walled to prevent leaking. It's going to have 10,000 gallons of diesel and 6,000 gallons of gasoline. And the nice thing about that is we'll be able to order a whole truckload at a time, which will be financially responsible for the district and for the taxpayer dollars. So Still working through, I think, finalization on all of that stuff, but
Well, you approved the contract, and so they're putting a temporary one on site. We're just running the electrical to get to the keypad and the punch pad on that while we wait for the official one to get in.
And that's within our gated, like, it's within the
The
fence.
tank itself will be inside, the
Okay.
pumps will be outside so that they can punch their
Okay.
keypad in, and then our small fleet can also access that.
Okay.
excited to get back to fueling up all in one place, not have to drive all over. So,
If you remember that we can, if we're getting low but prices are, or if we're at medium length but prices are good, we can order a tank and they'll fill us up and then fill their FS fuel tank out here so that we can split that cost and not have additional costs in there. So
Ryan, we
it
talked-
does give us some good opportunities.
We talked about facilities. Did you ever come up with like a figure of what overall the savings would be?
I think, what was Ron estimating at like 10 to 15,000 in staffing savings?
And then we had run, it's about 48,000 in what we would save just in fuel costs in there. So about 70,000 from what we currently are doing right now.
So we're looking at probably a 4 to 5 year payback on that.
any other questions on fuel? Okay. Went over the feedback. We just had some questions. I guess Brian asked some questions about the format, the financials that we just went over, and the committee was okay with moving forward as we did. We talked about purchase cards for certain staff. Currently, the district has a couple of credit cards that are available when needed, but it makes a little bit more sense to have the purchase cards available for staff that are regularly purchasing things for the district, so they're not buying it with their card and then getting reimbursed after the fact. This is a little bit cleaner process. So Brian's working through getting the purchase cards set up and being able to get policy in place on how that's going to work. Looked at the list of bills and the funds. Talked a little bit about the budget. So all in all, it was a positive conversation. Any questions? Okay. I skipped ahead too quick. We actually need to go back and need to get a approval on the monthly financials.
Motion to approve the monthly financial reports as presented.
Motion made by Eric,
Second.
seconded by Tim. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. All right, coming down to letter C, consideration of sealed bids opened and reviewed by the superintendent of schools, the secretary of the board, and the municipal advisor. I think we've got some virtual guests going to join us.
Hi Garrett, are you with us?
Yeah.
Hi Garrett, you are up, and Garrett, we're at the point of considering the sealed bids opened and reviewed. And so just the board accepting those. Do you want to review those now, or do you want to wait until we get to the second one where we do the resolution?
I can go ahead and review now if the board's ready for that. I will, let's see. Okay, well, thank you, board members. I'm here tonight instead of Travis, so hopefully that's okay with you. We had a couple different bond sales today, so kind of splitting time between different meetings tonight, but I'll give a quick overview. I know, as a board, you've been through this process now for the last few years. So a lot of the same, but just talk through the results from the sale here earlier today, and just kind of the process this year that led up to issuing the bonds. So we'll talk through that. I'll go right into the financing process review. So in terms of debt structuring, same thing, solve for the 405 debt service levy rate in FY26 with a final payment for this series of bonds out in 2045. So another 20-year debt structure. Structured the debt to plan for future issuances, which currently is forecasted to be out through 2049. This is pending valuation growth, interest rates, so we'll continue to monitor that as we get out into the future. The next bond issuance currently isn't planned until 2027, so take a little bit of break from issuing some of the GEO bonds here for a couple of years. The official statement and bond rating process, so similar to years past, we work with Allers & Cooney as the district's disclosure counsel for official statement review. Went through that process here over the last month or so. And then the bond rating process with Moody's. Very good news going through that process. District did get an upgrade on the bond rating to a AA2. And just one thing to point out there is just, both as a board, but also Tara and Brian as, your administration staff, very well done throughout that entire rating process, as well as through the reissuance of the audit and that whole process. So handled that very well when there was, at times a little bit of uncertainty in what's going to happen, but all things considered, no changes to the rating after that process unfolded. Moody's agreed that the district was still in a good spot, stuck with the upgrade, so very good news there. And then I would also just, commend the board while there was a little bit of uncertainty with just your flexibility around, special meeting dates and things like that as we had to, adjust the sale date, adjust the issuance date. So appreciate your flexibility as we, all as a team, a collective, tried to work through that process. And I know Tara and Brian maybe lost sleep a few nights, but here we are. And it actually, I think, with what you'll see in terms of interest rates, I think worked out just maybe dumb luck in the district's favor. So we'll talk through that. But that official statement was out in the market for investors here over the past few weeks. So in terms of the sale results from today, we took bids that were due at 1 o'clock this afternoon, reviewed that with both Tara and Brian. Nice results, 7 bids received, which is great. So felt really good about that. And as we compared with just other recent financings that have been done across the state here over the last few weeks, very good results. There was a little bit of resizing that we did to fill in for the 2026 levy rate. Originally was anticipated to sell 13 million of the outstanding authority. That was bumped up slightly to 13.2 million. So we'll show you what that looks like. But in terms of next steps, resolution tonight, and then there will be one more resolution for the issuance docs that will happen sometime next week, presumably on the 16th. The closing date, so when bond proceeds will be in hand, will be on the 30th of this month. So moving along pretty quickly with that process. So just going to get into the bid results today. So you can see here, these are the 7 different bids and financial institutions that submitted proposals. You can see that UBS Financial Services was the winning bidder with a 4.25% TIC, or think of that as almost like the average interest rate, all the way down to TD Securities at a 4.34. The one thing I would just point out here is, if you look at these first 5 bidders, we really like to see this where they're all within about what we would consider 3 basis points or 0.03%, which just tells us very competitive market. So we felt really good seeing that, and again, right in line with other recent financings. So just getting into the details of the winning proposal that you can see here, if you care to see the intricate details of the coupons and the yields. Off on the left, you're likely familiar with seeing what this structure looks like from the last few years of issuing bonds, but pretty typical of 5% coupons during the callable portions of the bonds. and then lowering that coupon to fall more in line with the yields. As I mentioned, there was a slight resizing process to fit within the levy constraint for FY26, and then the rest of it was fit for total production, so solving for the completion of phase one, making sure that the district has plenty of funds on hand to start making those payments, and then just evened out the remaining years of debt service to prepare for the remainder of the GO bonds that will be issued here over the next few years. Put in real quick, just the other proposals that were submitted. You're going to see it; they're all very similar. The slight differences that you might see between them would be, maybe slightly different. May have submitted a slightly higher underwriting fee, which would be the fee that they would get paid to underwrite the bonds. So you can see those four proposals as well. And last two here. So then lastly, just getting into the impact on the district's financial profile. So this will look familiar to what we've talked about in years past. But in terms of the GO bonds, already issued $34.6 million up to this point, issuing $13.2 million here today. This will again be small issuer exempt, which means the district will have up to 3 years to spend the bond proceeds and will not be subject to rebate. So that'll be good. Left to issue, we still have around $22.1 million of voter authority left. That will be all, for the most part, going towards phase two, which again, anticipated that the next GO bond borrowing would be out in 2027. And then the final one being in 2029 is currently the projection. May be able to slide that up slightly depending on interest rates and valuation growth here over the next few years. So that will be one thing that we'll monitor and consider here over the next few years. In terms of the sales tax bonds, that'll be the next tranche of debt being issued, but currently estimated $29.8 million to still be issued here later this year. There will be a debt service reserve fund. Think of that as, basically 1 year's worth of principal and interest payments set aside. That will still be the district's money, but just set aside until the final debt payment is made. So total project funds around $27.4 million is currently estimated. So the plan is currently to start that timeline here now that we've got the GO bond process wrapped up. We'll work on a timeline to get that process started. Other resources, currently no cash on hand being contributed in the financing plan, but we do currently, with the district's cash flow on the construction side, currently have estimated around $2.1 million of investment income going towards the project. So similar to interest rates and valuation growth, we'll continue to keep monitoring that construction cash flow here over the next few years. And then real quick, I won't spend too much time on this unless there's questions. We can certainly come back to this, but just showing you what does it look like. You can see here these last few years of debt issuances that have happened on the GO side. Here today, the $13.2 million, and then currently have 3 more series of bonds being sold out in 27 through 29. If interest rates are favorable or valuation growth is more favorable, there is potential that we would slide that up a year, but again, we'll continue to monitor that. On the sales tax side, this will be what we're doing here next, the $29.8 million. We had originally planned to structure this to try and use around 50% of the sales tax revenues for debt payments. You can see out in these later years, that's what we're solving for. One conversation piece will be for these first few years. There's no principal payments, but the interest-only payments wrapping around the district's existing debt payments is causing, probably using closer to 60 to 62% of your sales tax revenues. So we can look at potential restructuring of those debt payments to try and smooth that out, or we can just, for those 3 years or so, let that be slightly higher payments, but that'll be something we'll consider here next. Last component is just debt limit, which we've talked about. In the past, no issues here. You can see, once we issue this large tranche of sales tax debt, using somewhere around maybe 86% of the district's debt limit, but no real tight constraints there, so no issues on the debt limit side. Lastly, just quick summary commentary on just the results from today. Again, maybe slightly dumb luck that, with having to push the sale date back, we've seen interest rates drop just a little bit. So actually got, more favorable interest rates today than were originally projected in our financing model. So very good, keeps the financing plan on track and maybe even helps a little bit. So feel very good about that. We'll just, I know I've said this a million times tonight, but just continue to understand and contemplate the risks to the financing plan, which is, what do interest rates do here over the next few years, as well as valuation growth to issue that remainder of the GO bond authority. But for tonight, just recommend the acceptance of the bid from UBS Financial Services. That will be the resolution from Allers and Cooney. And then just we'll continue to monitor. We'll get the sales tax borrowing started here next. And then again, we'll consider what that looks like for issuing the remainder of that $22.1 million of GO bonds out into the future. But I'll pause there. And Tara, Brian, if there's anything I missed or you want to add, otherwise I'll open it if there's any questions from board members.
Garrett, I have a question. Is there a specific length of time that we have to wait before we can refinance these if rates do come down, or are we able to do that sooner than later?
These GO bonds specifically?
Yeah.
So these GO bonds have a call date of 2033, so an 8-year call feature. So once you get to 2033, would have the ability to refinance or restructure the bonds. Once the remainder of these bonds are issued, the $22.1 million, I know lots of districts, and even your district in the past has done what's called the surplus levies. If the district wants to keep that debt service levy rate at that 405 levy rate out into the future, even beyond 2029 and into the future, the district could continue to do that and start to prepay on the debt. If you haven't yet gotten to the call date, that money would go into just an escrow account that would be invested, and then once you get to the call date, those bonds would be called. But if interest rates do drop enough into the future where, financially it would be beneficial to restructure, for these bonds specifically, 2033 would be the first available date to do that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Garrett.
Yes, thank you very much. Need a motion to accept the sealed bids as presented.
Make a motion to accept the bids as presented.
Motion made by Ben. Seconded by Jeanette. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mac Rankin.
Aye.
Ben Metzger.
Aye.
Eric Christensen.
Aye.
Tim Mills.
Aye.
Brian Worling.
Aye.
Sue Wilson.
Aye.
Jeanette Campbell.
Motion carries 7-0. Next item is the consider resolution directing the sale of the GO school bonds not to exceed $28.44 million for Series 2025.
Make a motion that we do with the well, I can read it, it's just worded differently. Make a motion that the board approves the sale of the general obligation school bonds series 2025 to UBS Financial Services, Inc. of New York, New York.
Motion made by Tim. Seconded by Ben. Any further discussion? Also, a roll call on this, please.
Jeanette Campbell.
Aye.
Sue Wilson.
Aye.
Brian Worling.
Aye.
Tim Mills. Eric Christensen.
Aye.
Ben Metzger.
Aye.
Mac Rankin.
Aye. That motion also carries 7-0.
And Garrett's presentation is linked in there, so if you want to go back and see a little bit more up close, it's in there too.
Perfect. Any other questions for Garrett before we let him finish up his night.
Just appreciate the detail, Garrett. It's a good presentation.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, no, thank you all, appreciate it.
Next item is the September 4th facilities meeting.
So, high school project update, we received the updates on where that's at. Concrete work has started in the courtyard. The facade on the, is it on the windows or in between the windows?
It's on the outside wall.
Okay.
Yep.
Is being installed on the south side of the academic wing. There's a lot of cleanup on the perimeter of the new build that's taking place. Dirt work is taking place. They're aiming for a fall seeding of grass seed around September 15th. We talked about the baseball softball project. Bernie walked through the progress that's happened there. Demolition of both fields is complete. Turf's been ordered. It should be on site by mid-October and is planned to still be laid down yet this fall. Perimeter work outside the turf field should be done spring 2026 when the weather turns warmer and dries up after winter. Some of the original lighting concerns that we had talked about. Yeah, they can be turned up.
Yeah.
So it's a non-issue. Summer projects completed. Bernie talked about, he really gave accolades to his team for being able to navigate both all the grass, because of all the rain, all the grass mowing that's had to happen and everything, along with keeping up with the summer work projects. But just as he highlighted, some of those was safe and seclusion rooms have been added to Emerson, Irving, and Whittier. So now these rooms are now in all the buildings. Additionally, we talked about the old administrative office and the work that's been done there. It's been cleaned up, and painted, and just waiting for Harlan AEA to get into their space around the 1st of October. And I think is that the child care, ICC? Child care, access to a dedicated space in the late fall, and determine if they will move in during the school year or wait until the summer to officially move.
And those are for the offices only. So
Okay.
the childcare is not
Yeah, the
moving.
kids
into
aren't coming?
It's just the offices.
Yeah. And then I already touched on the seasonal. He did talk about the fact that they brought on some seasonal staff, some folks to do the mowing, and that's what's freed up a lot of his folks to be able to focus on those summer projects. Purchased a new line spraying system for the field. I heard Ben talked about a younger person commenting about how straight the lines are, so it's considered a success by all grade levels.
Have you ever had to do those?
No, but
It's
I
hard,
have
like by
watched.
the hand,
Yeah.
hand one, like.
I have seen people struggle, especially if there's moles. So anyways, pretty happy about that purchase, and that's been a great addition to the equipment that we have. The District Operations Center, some talk about whether or not the contractor's providing a whole new door and the storefront, like the entire storefront, or if it's just the door. So sounds like the administrative folks are going to go back and get some clarity on exactly what that looks like. We did hold some discussion about that and what we believed was going to happen and what we hope happens. And then questions from the committee. Just a couple of board members brought up that it'd be nice if the opportunity presents itself during phase 2 of construction on the high school to explore adding some lights to the tennis court area. It was a good meeting, very productive, and that's all I have. Any questions?
Okay. Questions for Tim? Okay. Next item is the August 28th Policy Committee report. Ryan want that one, or you want me to take it?
Well, it's, yeah, they're kind of following that, yeah, this page right here, you can kind of see it very clearly. There were 4 of them there, 7013, 7015, 7051, 7052, that didn't have any changes. Peer review, and then there's some revisements by the IASB for, as you go through each individual one, you can see what clarity they kind of added to the suggested change. There's quite a few of those if you scroll down. A couple rescinded policies that were contained now in 704.6. So they haven't been removed, they've just been, well, they've been moved, not removed, to 704.6. That policies to rescind right there, yep. And then the last two had a couple of website update on the 751R1, and then a typo or two in that 751R2.
Thank you, Ryan. Any questions for the policy committee on the first reading of those updates? If not, entertain a motion.
First reading.
Listed policies.
Listed policies, yeah, let's do that.
Motion made by Ryan.
Second.
Seconded by Eric. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is the board calendar. We've got curriculum next Tuesday.
It's
No, this
Thursday.
Thursday. Oh, boy.
It's Thursday.
Special board meeting next Tuesday morning,
Oh, there is.
7 a.m. Monday, the 15th, this is not on there, but I want to make sure everybody got it. I think Tara sent it out to you today. If anyone is available, would like to participate in grilling lunch for all the staff on Monday at the middle school. It's Professional Development Day, so the district's going to feed all of our wonderful staff. Tuesday morning, 7 a.m., special board meeting. That should be fairly quick. There's a finance meeting right after that. And then Thursday's HR. The following, well, that Thursday is also the last day for candidates to file their petitions to have their name on the ballot for the November election. We got technology and policy the following week. Are there any of those dates that we need to change from administration? Any of those dates that we need to make changes for board members? Okay. We've got an exempt session that we'll go into right as soon as we adjourn this meeting. If there's any other business that we need to take care of before we adjourn? Okay, hearing none.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Ryan,
I second.
seconded by Jeanette. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much.